great to have you join with us today online in the sweltering heat of Bridgend. It's summertime and my summer book reading, that's right, I actually read books every now and again, is a massive thing called Dominion, How the Christian Revolution Remade the World, by a guy called Tom Holland, not the actor in Spider-Man. Holland is an academic historian, much like myself, who is plotting throughout Western history how Jesus and his claims, and those who followed him and have been shaped by him, have literally changed the entire world. So much so that even the arguments against belief in God that is arise from secularism or atheism today in the 21st century are so entrenched themselves in Christianity. Holland doesn't deal with theology as such, but with loads of mini biographies, stories of individuals who, through faith in a crucified Christ of the first century, has impacted all of us, everywhere. He talks about Paul, whose letters to New Testament churches turned the Roman Empire upside down. Origen, who talked about the Trinity. Basil and Gregory, whose understanding of the sanctity of human life challenged the established orthodox of slavery in the Roman Empire. Their sister Macrina, who spent much of her life sheltering children who'd been abandoned at birth in sewers and rivers because they were literally unwanted, and brought the understanding to bear that life in all its brilliant forms matters. Augustine of Hippo in Africa, whose work challenged the concept of sin and its place in all of our lives. And all of these and many more tweaked humanity along the way, and saw a weird sect of people that looked a little bit like the Jews but were not. These weirdly, seemingly incestuous people that talked constantly about their love for their brothers and sisters. This weird, seemingly cannibalistic people that talked about how they had to eat the body and drink the blood of their founder. These weirdos were known somehow for their care, their love, their shelter of the poor, the understanding, the virtuous notion that all life mattered, that humanity mattered, that humility was powerful, that love itself was more powerful than power, that all of these things talked about equality, bringing this world-changing messages brought to life and carried along in a great community of disciples and disciple makers. Tom Holland is arguing all of this in this great book, and I'm enjoying it so far. Our memory only goes back so far, of course. You may have done a bit of research into your own family tree, or even a church community like ours. We can recall people of a few past generations. And so it's sobering, to me at least, to read something like Dominion that impacts me again, that where I am today in this moment talking to you as a follower of Jesus has happened not merely because of the direct impact of the gospel on my human soul when I put my trust in Jesus, when, 20 odd years ago, but because of the millions of people who have gone before me, who believed and trusted and died and gave and prayed and shared Jesus to and through their generations to me in mine. I'm part of like a great cosmic relay that faith has been passed to me in mine. This Christian faith is one of generational stories, each sharing their faith in Jesus through their generation. They've gone before and passed it on to us now. How terrifying is that? What if we drop the baton? There's a few verses in one of the New Testament letters, the letter to Hebrew Christians, Jewish people that have become Christians, that the writer to this group of people scattered throughout the Roman world says this: since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, He's talked about Jewish heroes, Abraham, Moses. He's talked about how faith comes to us. Because of all of these things, he says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, that you will not grow weary and lose heart. These sentences written to Hebrew Christians who themselves had a great legacy of Old Testament prophets and kings and priests and scribes and leaders were encouraged to view where they are now in their generation as one part of that great chain of faith that has been passed on to them. And these sentences impact me today, impact you if you're part of this community of faith in these same massive ways. So whether you're reading, I don't know, a modern historical book like Dominion or Hebrews 11, or being in any sort of relationship with anyone who knows Jesus, the Hebrews writer encourages us in a few things in this journey of faith. He says that, number one, because of who's gone before us, all that they've done, all that they've been through, you make sure you throw off stuff that hinders and entangles you in your turn in this epic relay. I wonder if you can articulate today some stuff in your life, if you're a follower of Jesus, that comes under those categories of hindrances to your following of Jesus. Entangling sin that slows your becoming more like Jesus. I wonder what they are. Can you name them? Can you confess them? Can you repent of them, turn from them? Can you then throw them off today? Why? Well, because the writer says we've got to run a race marked out for us. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. That great quote that it was perseverance that got the snail to Noah's Ark. Great line. This faith journey, this journey in the epic relay of faith, isn't seemingly static. It isn't just about a belief. No, there's a race to run. There's momentum. There's effort and movement and purpose, a goal, a finish line, a prize. If you've watched, like I have, any of the recent Commonwealth Games, this analogy, this picture becomes obvious. Everyone runs in the races in Alexander Stadium to, if not win, then at least to do well. Everyone runs to finish. And so the journey of faith is one of, that the writer here describes as a race. We've got to finish. And it isn't just me or I. He says the race marked out for us, plural. It is a community race. It is the greatest fun run, park run ever. We get to run this race together. And how do we do this? What does this race entail? Well, says the writer, we fix our eyes, or rather fixing our eyes on Jesus. He calls Jesus the pioneer and the perfecter of faith, the one who starts this, has started something and perfects it, finishes, makes it right. The great starter finisher of my faith, of your faith, is Jesus, the one whose life, whose words, whose lifestyle, but also whose power and presence is everything to the runner of this race, Jesus. Now it tells us to fix our eyes on him, but that's difficult because, of course, I can't see him naturally. And so it encourages us to do so together, by faith together. It takes us to fix our eyes on Jesus. I wonder how you're doing in that. I wonder how us-like you're doing. You might not be present with us in Brackla Park this weekend, but I wonder if you are just a Christian watching online. Who are you running with? We can't see him naturally, and so it takes an us to help us see Jesus, to know him, to know about him, and follow him and become like him. And Jesus in us does this. And so the writer says to think about Jesus on the cross, the thing that he endured to death. Think about Jesus scorning its shame, the ridicule of dying for sinners, laughing at shame, ridiculing sin that separates us from God, because Jesus has won us salvation. Think of Jesus on the throne, the King of all. Consider him, says the writer to the Hebrews. And so, how do we do that? What does that look like? Well, when you make choices in life, in all areas, consider Jesus. When in trials of faith or persecution or challenge, consider Jesus. When you're in pain or in isolation or loneliness, consider Jesus. When you're making big judgment calls on life and career and marriage and lifestyle, consider Jesus and run for him. Run in faith with others for him, for when you do, so the writer says, you won't grow weary. Hope will rise and you'll keep on running. The idea really is that there are too many people who've come before us, and there are too many people today who need us to tell them about the life-changing reality of the person of Jesus. And there are too many people in the future that is before us, for us in 21st century Bridgend to grow weary and lose heart. And so let us throw off the things, the hindrances, the sin that entangles us, and run with perseverance to and through and because of Jesus. As we're doing that today in Bringaru, outdoors in the heat, we're going to be sharing communion too. And so if you're with believers around you, and if you're not, why not call someone up and ask them to join you and share in communion together? Join a church, be part of community, and share in communion as we remember Jesus. Let us run our race with perseverance, fixing our eyes on him. God bless you, and hope to see you soon.